This is where Carl and I lived for 60 years.
On this farm. Oh, this is the house I remember. Somehow I think I might have picked up a turkey here before. Okay. So this is the homestead. Now, did you build the house, or what's the history?
Bossler Estate.
Homestead.
And how do you spell that? Bossler?
Yeah.
Bossler Homestead. Okay.
And there's some Bosslers
Is that right, Margaret?
buried up here in.
I don't believe that's right.
Cemetery.
How do you think you spell it? Now, White Park Cattle, that's P-A-R-K, correct?
Correct.
And you said they came from where? In
No, they came from Great Britain.
Great Britain during World War II.
Yeah.
All right. That is amazing. So are there any other herds of this in the United States?
Yes.
Okay.
But not many in this area.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you.
This is a copy of my first car. Here on the wall is a picture of my first car, and here's this car.
That's great.
The first one came from George Wise Oldsmobile in Lebanon on January the 13th of 1949 is when I got that car.
Okay, so I see.
That was the first car of that body style in Lebanon County. There's another one, and this one was sold new by George Steinmetz to some woman down here by Richland. And when I bought mine, I bought that as a deluxe. And when this one was sold, it was sold by a standard. I made this in the deluxe, and the only thing it took was put other seat cushions in that were multicolored. The standard had just straight seat cushions with no multicolors to them, and it had small hubcaps, and this one here has the big hubcaps. That's the only two things between the standard
and the deluxe. Okay. So here we have a green Chevy truck.
Yeah, a 1951, and I had a 1951 Chevy truck. The one I had was a blue one, but this one was a green, and we maintained it green, and we had that one restored. Oh, incidentally, the car that's here was restored by Landis Cup. You may know Landis. Landis is still with us, and he's a little older than I am, but he restored that car for us. And this one was restored by, what's his name, Margaret? Huff, our Jackson Township supervisor.
Oh.
He restored this one for me.
It's a nice job. It's beautiful.
This wheelbarrow, I bought on an auction from a man that passed away, and I knew him longer than I knew my parents.
Really?
Now, that's kind of hard to understand, but this wheelbarrow had belonged to Gene Heise that had the saddlery or the Western wear up at
The tack shop.
The tack shop.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the scoopers there for the feed, those were with it?
No, they're just old.
Okay, and the old toolbox.
Yeah.
And here you have a rain barrel of sorts.
Huh?
A barrel.
Okay, the rain barrel. This is a slow cutter to cut cabbage.
Oh, you had put the head in there.
Huh? Yeah, we put the head in here, and I had four. My dad had found this when I was a little guy, and we'd make sauerkraut at the store.
Oh.
We'd buy pickup truckload of cabbage, and then we'd make sauerkraut, and in a setup just like that.
Oh, so I see. The barrel was used to catch the cabbage to make the
Right.
sauerkraut.
Right.
Oh, I get it now. It took a while to sink in.
Yeah.
But yeah. Boy, you have a lot of old implements here. What is this red one?
This red one is a generator that was made by International Harvester Company, and it was just the generator itself, not the wheels and the like. And they had made that to hang on the side of a tractor, to put a cable to it to run a motor on a pickup baler. And that program never worked right. They never got it right, so they had a bunch of these generators, and Lloyd Deem and I bought them off of International. We bought a whole trailer load of those one time out of Chicago, and someone around the area went and set them up. That is the first farm generator ever.
A portable one because it's on wheels.
Yeah, they never had a generator on a farm before.
Oh, really?
And the way that happened, there was a big ice storm in Lancaster County, and D.L. Deem and Sons, the international dealer in Lidditz, were out of electric, and they had one of these generators there, and they had a combine, and the combine had its motor up high, and they went and they hooked a belt from the motor down to one of these that they made stationary on the floor, and then they generated their electric to run their shop for several weeks during this big ice storm. And that was the start of farm generators.
Wow. And you have a few more pieces. What is this plow about?
That plow was a new, nice, shiny plow, and the Myerstown church went to build a new church, and John Gipple came to me and wanted to know if I had something he could use to break ground. So that plow was used twice. It was used to break ground for the Myerstown Church of the Brethren, and then also for their I don't know what you call the addition to it for where they have their hall, and it was used twice, and they stored it all the time. And here, a couple of months ago, I went and picked it up and brought it and put it in here.
And how about over here? What is all this with the trough and the saws?
Well, the things in the front are dehorners. My dad was in the cattle business, and he always wanted his cattle hornless, no horns on the cattle. So these first two tools here were used to cut the horns off of the cattle.
Huh.
And the other's the scalding trough. When you put your hogs, I never helped do that particularly ourselves, but it was used to butcher hogs, and just a couple old wood saws that I had around.
Okay. And oh my goodness, we got some
Okay,
John
now-
Deere's.
Okay, this one doesn't relate to me really. It's just one that one of our boys traded for here, and it has 100 and some R's on.
Wow.
And I just said, hey, I'll just buy that and put it in here.
Okay.
Just one to keep.
All right. It's a keeper.
This Oliver 70 is a copy of the first tractor I ever sold. First tractor I ever sold was an Oliver 70.
So Oliver was a precursor to John Deere with the yellow and green?
No.
No? Do they still make Olivers?
No. Oliver's out of business. Oliver went to Cockshot, or Cockshot went to Oliver, but they're all gone.
Okay. And then what came next? The Farmall?
That Farm All Age, that means as much to me as any in here. That is the first new tractor I ever bought and sold. And when the farmer that I sold it to had sale, I went and bought it back. That is a 1952 tractor, and I had it in my hands the first time. It was a leftover tractor, and I would have sold it somewhere like in 54, somewhere right in that category. We never could find the paperwork to go all the way back. But we own it back this time for a good while, and we did the second restoration on it in our time. So that's...
It's a looker. I like that red.
Huh?
It's a looker.
Yeah,
I like
it's
that red.
yeah,
Yeah.
Back around the corner here, I have what was my saddle? Oh, just back in the corner. I have one of them's a parade saddle that I
May I look?
That I traded in. I traded a guy's horse and saddle and the whole deal on a tractor one day. And this one over here, I think this is mine. This is a bigger saddle than most. It's a little longer because I used to be pretty heavy. And I'm not getting good pictures here.
What do you have engraved on the side there?
Huh?
What is engraved on the side, like a lily or something?
I don't know, could be. I never
Yeah.
did that.
Nice leather work, huh?
Yes, it's really nice.
Well, how old do you think those saddles are?
Well, this one here, I would have, well, both of them, all I would have them, would be in my possession 40 or 50 years.
Okay.
Those
Beautiful.
I- This one I got new.
I see you have another Farmall and another John Deere. Any stories to go with those two?
This John Deere and this plow are a replica of the first new tractor I ever bought. I bought that from money that I acquired while I was working in high school. And when I got out of high school, I bought this when Margaret and I got married, and the first new tractor I ever bought. It's a replica.
Okay.
The only original tractor is this
The Farmall.
one. Yeah, the others are all replicas.
Wow. Nice John Deere. And then how about that last Farmall back there? That's a little bigger than the one over
Yeah,
here.
Yeah, that's the farm.
What's the story with that one?
And that's a copy of one like my dad bought to keep me interested in farming in the mid-40s.
So that's a 1940s tractor.
Mid-40s.
Wow.
I have to check and see. I didn't get around. This whole project you're looking at, we only started putting together this past spring.
Okay.
And we're doing this here on December 1st of 19.
Now there's a one back here that doesn't look like it's been touched. It looks like a
Yeah.
real
Yeah.
antique at this point.
Yeah.
What's that one about?
That's a Farmall A with a plow on it. And it's one like my dad had, and he had a cultivator on it, and he used it to cultivate tomatoes and tobacco. And I was a youngster, and I wanted to plow lots around town, and I went and I found the plow to put on his tractor. And this here's a copy of that tractor now.
Okay.
In 1947, I earned $160 plowing lots around Myerstown.
Wow.
In 1948, I earned $301 plowing lots, and in 1949, I earned $450. 3 years that I plowed lots with an outfit just like that.
That was a lot of money back then.
That was a lot of money back then.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is great.
And
Let me.
everybody, or a lot of people had an open lot, you know, little, and then just too big to dig by hand, and yet
But that one little plow did it, huh?
that's one little plow, yeah.
How about these banners here? Are they original?
Just some of one of my grandsons went and dug up in our archives and brought them out and hung them up.
Wow. And the Alice Chalmers, rather?
Alice Chalmers, as they had lost their, they were losing their population in our area, and I had a guy up in Florida, New York, that used them for some particular application. I don't know what that was, and I'd buy them up, and whenever I had a trailer load bought together, he'd come and buy them off of me and take them north. And I had so many of them over the time that I just thought I'd like to have one in this.
Yeah,
museum.
it looks like a rear engine.
It is.
Almost
It
like a
is.
VW.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And they used them to cultivate tomatoes and tobacco and stuff here. And they used to have, some of them had a thing that they could hoe. They could hoe it by hand as they were going.
Oh,
A guy looked at it the other day and he remembered how he used to hoe.
isn't that interesting? I never saw, I don't remember seeing one of those up close. I shouldn't say I never saw one, but I never, I don't remember doing that.
There's quite a few of them around. They're nice collectible tractor. Guys can buy them and they can take them to shows. They can load them on their little trailers and easy to haul, you know.
Sure. And this is to harvest?
This here's a mower.
A mower,
Yeah,
okay.
it's a John Deere mower that we used to cut grass to make hay.
And
And
I-
I had a lot of those over the years.
And I know you're active with the FFA, so there you have an FFA sign.
Yeah, that was the sign that we put at the end of the driveway when I had the FFA at the cabin, or the Stites Club likewise. Have a cabin back on 501 north of Bethel.
And then you have some
All those,
tire covers here you
yeah,
kept.
those were on the back of various vans that we had over a period of time.
Got it. And the rest of these cars look like they could still be driven.
Yeah, they're all driven. They're all, this truck is a 1992, has 30 couple thousand miles on. Margaret told me one day if I bought her a pickup truck, I wouldn't have to take the garbage out anymore. So I went to town and I went up to Fredericks, and Russ Loeb was there at that time.
I remember Russ.
And I said, I'd like to buy a pickup, and I was looking for a good used one. And he said, what do you want this pickup for? And then I told him, and Russ said to me, he said, he said, if I was buying my wife a pickup, I'd be buying her a new one. I said, oh, okay. I said, then I'll buy a new one. And Russ and I were good friends. And it just,
He was quite the salesman, huh?
yeah, well, we were friends to boot, you know. It was just, so this is one that I got from Margaret.
So this is your truck, Margaret.
Yeah, it was my truck.
Do you still drive it?
No, I didn't drive it for a couple years.
Okay.
No, then she would take the grandchildren along, and she needed something with a second seat. So then we got one with an extended cab.
Okay.
So
And this red
that red car
Cadillac, I guess.
spent most of its life in Florida.
Oh,
I had a Cadillac here in Pennsylvania, had one in Florida.
okay.
And it's low mileage car, and everybody commented about it. What year is this one, Margaret?
I think a 92.
No, wait. Okay, then what year is the old one? I'm mixed up in the years. I gotta put the
That's
years
okay.
on. But anyhow, this is the one that they called it the Spring Edition. It had the painted door handles. And it's a pretty nice car.
Yeah, it is. And here I see you have a CW nameplate. What's your middle name? There's an I there.
Irvin.
Irwin. A
Irvin.
Carl Irwin Wagner.
Yep.
All right.
My middle name came from my uncle Irvin Kreider, and you probably know Jim Allwine. Irvin Kreider was Jim Allwine's grandfather,
Okay.
and that was my mother's brother, and that's where my Irvin came from. This car I bought off of Bob Ladd, and we talk about it pretty often. But anyhow, this is a Cadillac Fleetwood Brougham two-door. The Fleetwoods are normally four doors, and the two doors are normally Coupe de Villes, but this is one like there aren't too many.
Sure.
So I just kept it. I liked it. I liked it a lot. Margaret never liked it. She said the doors were too big.
Heavy.
Huh?
Heavy
Yeah,
doors.
it's just
Yeah.
too.
For a woman, it's a little heavy to manipulate. And what are all these toys here?
Those are toys. The toys are, they're not what we call shelf toys. These are handmade toys.
Oh.
Somebody that specialized in making various, which made them worth more money than just the shelf models. The two and not down the bottom are shelf toys, but the rest are pretty much all handmade toys.
Okay. Oh, and you even got into bicycles here, I see. His and hers?
Yeah, well, we had the blue set here, we had in Florida, and I had them hanging down there. When I brought them home, I didn't even straighten up the handlebars yet. And the red ones were our set of bikes that we had here in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So I just,
So blue for Florida, red for Pennsylvania.
yeah,
And what's this, a lawnmower?
that was Margaret's first parlor mower that she ever had.
Look at that.
I bought this at Bamberger's up in Lebanon,
Okay.
and it would have been in the early 50s.
Oh my goodness.
This is it, and I had it rebuilt here some time ago.
I don't know that I've ever seen one with that kind of a,
This is really powerful.
Setup.
It's self-propelled, and it has one sickle blade in under. And Margaret, if she lost control of it, it would just mow down bushes and flowers and everything else. It'd get away for her once in a while. But anyhow, I kept that one all the years.
and it looks like here you could sit a while. You have some rocking chairs set up and you have a couch and looks like a scroll saw.
You know, again, I'm going to say, we just started to set this up this past spring. So we're not at it. We're not at it a full year yet.
Uh-huh. These are some of your tools here.
Oh, the
Scroll saw.
I had a workshop
Okay.
when I was a little guy, and I used to make toys, and we'd sell them in the store at Rexmont. That was during the wartime when you couldn't buy toys. And then I made feed scoops for the farmers, and I would make clothespins for the ladies. So I used the crates that we would get raised fruits in, like oranges and grapefruit and stuff, and I'd use the ends and I'd use the boards off the side. And
And which war was this during? Did you say it was during the war? No.
during the war,
During the war. Which war?
oh, that would have been World War II.
World War II. Okay. Wow.
And then, I found my dad's deep sea fishing rod. Here's a rod, the reel's over here in the case. And this here, I'm thinking, I know I own an ice saw, and I think this is the ice saw. I'm not sure, but back in 1944, I went to an auction. It was my uncle's, and I know I got an ice saw in that deal. If you ever read my story about the nickel man, I was a nickel man in 1944 when I was 12 years old at Reverend Sam Winger's auction. And that was going from, prior to that, they always had a penny man at an auction, and Paul Singer was the auctioneer. And that day, none of the junkie guys showed up. And my dad and I were together, and he said, kiddingly, he said, would you like to be the penny man today? And my dad said, yep, just like that. He said, pointed down to me, I was a little guy. He said, we'll make call the penny man. Well, Paul said, we're going to change it a little today. Times were changing. He said, we're going to change it to a nickel man. So that was all right. So they went selling stuff, and when it went from a penny to a nickel, my pile got bigger, faster than normal. And I remember Paul reached in his pocket at least twice and came out with a handful of change and gave it to me and said, that'll hold you over a while. Because he was guilty. Here he had a 12-year-old kid, and he put him in, he just did something. So we went through that day, and that was part of my start.
Wow.
And that story is pretty well publicized. When I was 10 years old or around that, this thing here was trim wallpaper. Now these that I got now, those are pre-trimmed paper, but my dad had rental homes, and he would go buy job lots of wallpaper and stuff. And then I'd come home from school, and he'd tell me how many rolls of this paper he wants or that, and I'd trim it for him.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I had to be around 10 years old when I did that.
Wow.
Give or take a little of that.
Well, here it looks like a wagon for a parade or
that's-
something.
That belongs to this generation, and they put a grandchild in the tractor and load it with other grandkids, and that's what they use in the parades.
Okay, so
In
it
fact,
is a
was in the-
parade
It was
track.
in the parade last week
Wow.
here in Morristown. They've used that 2 years now in the parade.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a homemade built tractor.
Oh my.
Sounds just like a John Deere two-cylinder. This item here is a cardboard baler. My dad bought me a cardboard baler back when I was maybe 10-ish, somewhere along there, maybe a little in that age bracket. And he brought it home, and he did it so I could increase my income by baling cardboard and selling it at the store. Never got it going. This machine was too big for my size to operate. It was too clumsy, and I just never succeeded in that.
Okay. So here you have a few more tractors, or truck holding tractors actually.
That I bought like 2 years ago. When I go to the Brethren Disaster Relief Auction, I usually try to pick out something of some value and then use that as my donation to the relief auction. And that was about 2 years ago. I bought that tractor trailer. Then I had a case made to put it in.
And are these hats over here your hats?
Yeah, those are just old hats that are kind of wore out and I hung a couple around just to have them. And this was the racing team that we had that my son Dave was racing.
Okay, and here you have your Lions Club charter.
Yeah, that's a copy of the Lions Club charter. I'm 1 year short. My name's not on there.
Okay.
They incorporated, I think, in 1950, and I joined in 1951. They wanted me to join, but I had just graduated from high school, and they wanted me to be a charter member, and they worked me hard. And the one that worked me was Henry Zug. Had the feed mill at Prescott, and he just stayed with me for a whole year and got me at the first charter night as a member.
Wow.
So now I'm the longest member of the Morristown Lions at this point.
That's
And
neat.
I'm also the longest member of the Lebanon Lights Club.
Okay. Very
So-
nice.
And I just haven't quit yet.
Now, did we cover just about everything? Or, oh, I see there's a fire helmet there. What's the story with the fire helmet?
Here, this
Whoops.
is one.
Oh, what is this?
That's,
Wenger Meeting House.
yeah. Are you familiar with that?
I am. I've been there.
Okay. Several years ago, they have a Winger reunion every year, and sometimes it's in Pennsylvania, sometimes it's in Virginia, sometimes in Ohio. But they had put on that something ought to be done to the Winger Meeting House. It either ought to be torn down or need some attention. And Margaret and I looked at each other and said, "Hey, we better go check this out." So we went and we checked it out, and we weren't there a half an hour until I said, "Well, I'm not going to tear it down. We're going to do something there." So it belonged to the cemetery there. The cemetery committee owned the church. So they asked me if I'd come to their cemetery meeting and talk to them. And at the time we went, there was a hole on the far side of the roof, and it's a slate roof, and they had squirrels were starting to get in, and it was just, it needed some help, and yet it wasn't really bad. So I sent an Amishman back and told him to give me a price to fix the roof. And the guys at the meeting said, "Well, who's going to pay for it?" Well, I said, "I guess if I'm going to get it fixed, I'm going to have to pay for it," you know. So then I also told the Amishman to give me a price on the new roof. I could hardly see going spending money and then coming back and doing it over. So he did that. So, well, in the meantime, we went and set up an organization. Then we took that property and leased it from the cemetery on a long-term lease. And the reason was, I said, hey, you can never deed that off the way it is. It wouldn't work.
It's too close.
Too close. And
Yeah.
there's homes built right next to it in the back, and it just, so I said, just take it. And I said, I don't want to be on the board. We'll build a board and we'll put it together, and we did it right. But then when we were getting ready to talking about this roof, then I saw some pictures where somebody else was up on there, and the chimney was bad. I said, whoop, can't do that. So I said, you got to hold the roof off a little bit. We got to go do something in that chimney. You can't put a new roof on, then go work on the chimney. You go work on the chimney, then the roof. Anyhow, I sent him back, and he put a new chimney on, and then we fixed it up. So anyhow, you've been there at some of the
I
affairs?
have been there, yes,
Yeah.
several times.
Oh. And, and that picture was painted by Glenn Eshelman.
Okay.
Do you know Glenn Eshelman?
The name is familiar. I can't put the face with it right now.
Okay, Sight and Sound.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes, there you go.
Sight
Okay.
and Sound. And when he made the first picture, he had an old car over there in the corner where the horse and buggy is. And Margaret said, Glenn, you know better than that. They didn't have they didn't have cars back in those days. So he took the car out and put a horse and buggy on.
Quite appropriate.
And that's the original.
Yep.
That's the original picture. Now we have copies of it and stuff, but that's the original one. I may have about have you played out here.
Were you in the fire company too? Were you in the fire company?
Yeah, well, they made me
Honorary assistant
Yeah.
chief. Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's weird. And Roadhaver's Boys Ranch, that's down in Florida, down Plaquemine, Florida.
Oh.
And we help support that. They have 50 boys, and they have five homes with 10 boys in each. And we got involved with that some years back, and
Okay.
it's just something we.
And there's an old Majestic stove.
The reason old Majestic stove, we had one, and when Penway Bakery sold out up in
Anvil?
I bought everything that was in their barn in the back. And in that barn, there was some soft coal. And I bought that, and being as conservative as I was, I put them in the basement to use here at home. And Margaret always took care of the stone, which was a similar operation to this. And she went, the fire had built over one time, and she went and put the poker into it and come out and burned her hair. And,
Oh. Well, you
never-
recovered nicely, Margaret.
So anyhow, it was a close thing. And she said she knew better, but I was insistent that we use this. So I took those out and I gave them to a farmer to use in this steamer to do. They steam beds so the weeds don't come up before they put plants in. And I gave that to Herman. I can't think of the last name.
It's all right.
But anyhow, I had a chance to pick this up at the relief auction here last year, and I did. So I had to tell a story. This one also came from the relief auction,
Okay.
and then we got a picture to go with it. When the stove came the other week, the picture didn't get above that picture's supposed to be above this.
And here it looks like somebody put a puzzle together.
Yes, that's just a nice picture somebody did.
Sure.
And I bought it at one of our auctions that we had. people want to know when I start wearing a Western hat, and then I show them.
That is adorable. How old were you there? About 6?
We thought I might have been 10.
10,
This is
okay.
what we're using now. I don't know for sure. That's an estimate.
And what's this declaration and certificate about?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Member of Church of the Brethren. Oh, there we go.
Okay, and that was my dad.
Oh, that was your dad. Mm-hmm. John K. Wenger.
Yep.
Okay. Wow. And record of birth and baptism. Is that your dad's as well?
No, that was my grandmother.
Rebecca.
Ella-
Rebecca
Ella-
of
Ella
John
Klein,
Gasser.
Received name of Ella Klein. Ella Klein. That was my mother's mother.
Your mother's mother, so your grandmother. All right, cool.
My grandma.
Very nice.
Now this is your White Park stuff now.
Oh, okay, these are the White Park cattle.
Those two,
Okay,
yeah.
very cool.
Oh, and this here's White Park.
Ancient cattle at home on Spangled Farm. Cool. Lancaster Farming.
Yep.